Hey, what's going on, everyone? We are here for a new episode of Making Picks. My name is Nathan. I'm here with Mark Salino, CEO of Statement Games. What is going on, Mark?
What's going on, Nathan? It's been way too long. It's great to kind of get back on the horse. Um, really appreciate those who've been kind of reaching out, asking for more making picks shows. We'll get kind of more into the weeds of things as we produce more making pick shows.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just kind of get started here. But to get everybody caught up here, look, we're running kind of a weekly or a yearly tab on who's smarter in areas of making picks. What you need to know is that Nathan's winning, I'm losing. We're just getting back into the fray of things. I believe I'm only down. I got to go back and take a look at the polls again here. I can't be. I'm probably down by about like 6 or 7 picks. So it's not like it's completely out of the realm here. We haven't even actually touched football season, but there's been obviously a lot going on and taking place within the sports world. We've both been extremely busy. Um, for the first episode that comes back or coming back here, it's going to be a quick turnaround time here. So I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. $100, $100 for anybody who can go 10 for 10 with the game that you and I are about to play. We'll touch upon it on a second, but we are getting involved. Today's the 30th. It's the last day of June. Yep. I've been keeping an eye on the basketball playoffs. I'm not sure what you've actually been doing. I found the Brooklyn Nets story fascinating. I'm really gotten into the Hawks Milwaukee Bucks series, especially since the Hawks knocked off the Knicks. But to be honest with you, I really haven't touched upon or got that much involved with the West Conference, with the Western Conference. So tonight we're going to be playing along with Game 6, Phoenix Suns, Los Angeles Clippers. Paul George is coming off a great Game 5 performance, and we'll have to see what happens in Game 6.
Yeah, definitely. I will say,
have you been keeping an eye on things, or what have you been watching?
I have not. Man, this is going to be great because we're bringing on a ringer here shortly, and it's going to be another one of those where I just ask the right questions, get the right picks, and still beat you with no knowledge of what's even going on. So things have been so crazy that sports, it just hasn't been on my radar for a while now. Unfortunately, I remember when we were first starting to do these making picks, I was like, oh man, I'm going to keep up with all the games. I'm going to be, smart and know my stuff by the time the finals come around. No, not at all. So we're going to see. And it just kind of adds more insult to injury when I beat you in picks and just don't know what is going on at all. So with that, should we should introduce and bring on our ringer, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, we got a ringer on. Really appreciate you taking a couple minutes, Jose. Jose, we're going to be diving into Game 6, Phoenix Suns, Los Angeles Clippers. But before we go ahead and do that, obviously, you've been collaborating with Statement Games for a while now. But really, and a lot of the people who I kind of interact with are aware that, when we do crank out great basketball content, at some particular point, you guys or your team pretty much has their finger on it. But just as a review here, why don't you give everyone just a little bit of a background on who you are, about the Peach Dynasty, kind of about the basketball content that you guys are putting out pretty much on a daily basis, how everyone can find you. I know that you're going through a little bit of a rebranding process, so hopefully you can give us an update on how that process is going. I know that you're pressed for time here, but let's start from there and take it from there.
Right on. I appreciate you asking, Mark. Thank you. Well, Peach Basket started about 3 seasons ago as a passion project for me. I wrote for other sites that I won't name. I had a great time doing it, but didn't like a lot of the lot of the requirements, right, to get my work out there. I'll leave it at that. So I started Peach Basket in the hope of writing what I wanted to write about, my passion. I'm a basketball fan. I'm from the LA area. I know the Lakers. I know the Clippers. That's kind of where I started. And over time, we started to get people. We started to get interest. We started to get a few more contributors. Somebody would come on and say, I'm a Celtics fan, I'm a Knicks fan, I'm a Spurs fan. So we grew, and we started out as LA Peach Basket, then we grew to Peach Basket. Mark, as you alluded to, we're rebranding now only because currently you can find us at peach-basket.net. I hate the dash. Everybody hates the dash. So we're doing a dashectomy. We're getting rid of the dash. We're going to the Peach Basket. The site isn't quite ready yet, but as part of that rebranding, we've got a new logo, we've got a new mission statement. We're really endeavoring to be more than just a website, but a community of like-minded, passionate basketball fans. The site that I started writing for 10 years ago gave me a voice, and there really isn't a place now for people to just jump into the fray and start writing, start podcasting, start streaming. There's hula hoops to jump through. There's a lot. There's a lot of requirements. I want us to be kind of a safe space for basketball fans to come, to talk, to write, to share their passion. And that's what the Peach Basket is aiming to become. We're on our way there, and grateful to Statement Games for that partnership to help us get there.
So Jose, I've been found like a lot of stuff has been taking place like on the East Coast here. I'm like an old fart here. Once the West Coast games take place here, I'm kind of like looking to pass out almost like by halftime. Look, anytime you start hitting like Game 6, Game 7, I mean that's what sports is kind of all about.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got your finger in your pulse. You're in the LA kind of area. I know that you got Is it fair to say a little bit more sentiment towards the Lakers than you do like the Clippers, or is it split 50-50 down the line?
I tell people that ask me that question this. I really am working to be agnostic. I grew up a Laker fan, and the Clippers have got a special place in my heart because they've won literally nothing. And in a city where fans have a choice, right? You can pick a team that's one of the greatest in the history of the association, or you can pick a team that's won literally nothing, right? People make that pick and pick the Clippers. It blows my mind. I have a special place in my heart. They have a special place in my heart because they've won nothing. So I try to not be a fan. I try to just kind of be agnostic there. But I grew up a Laker fan, absolutely, and I admire what the Clippers are doing. That's my answer to that question.
All right. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm taking a look at that game number 4.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this team is dead. Game 5 in Phoenix, opportunity to go to the championship game here. And then George just goes off. Probably one of the more impressive playoff performances that I guess you've seen. I mean, there's been so many great that you've been privy to and have the fortune of kind of watching. But this ranks kind of right up there. So I know that we're only a couple of hours away from tip-off of Game 6 here, but from an LA perspective, from a basketball fan perspective, and somebody who has a lot of great insight and works with a lot of great talent, that has some inside scoop on what's taking place from the Western Conference perspective. Give us a little bit of a breakdown on Game 6 and what you're expecting tonight.
Well, let's go back to Game 4 because I'm glad you called that out. That was a fascinating game.
Yeah.
Right. It was a 1990s kind of defensive battle where the teams couldn't shoot. Right. I mean, it was muddy. It was ugly. If you weren't a fan, you weren't watching that game. If you weren't a fan, you didn't watch that game and become a fan because it was an ugly, ugly, ugly game. But this is the thing that was fascinating to me, right? The Clippers led the NBA in 3-point percentage. They shot 41%. It's outstanding, amazing. In that game, they shot 16%, right? So when I looked at Game 4, I saw a game where the Phoenix Suns certainly played below par, but not that far. Whereas the Clippers went off a cliff, right? That was an aberration. That was just a really poor shooting game and something I did not expect them to repeat in game 5 or later in the series. They're not going to shoot that bad again. They're just not. I mean, I could shoot 16%, right? I'm positive I could shoot 16%. So the Clippers just had a bad game. And it happens, right? The Mother's Day Massacre in the 80s was when the Lakers lost to the Celtics by something like 30, 40 points, and they won that series. So bad games, that happens. That was the Clippers' bad game. So game 4 was interesting, but it definitely put them in a position where, now they're going back to Phoenix, and they look dead. And what they did was amazing. It was incredible. And that's what really scares me about tonight's game. I'll be honest. And this is what I just recently tweeted. I was really confident for the Clippers going into game 5 because game 4 was an aberration. They weren't going to repeat it. They weren't going to be that bad. If they just play average, if they just shoot at their average, not above, just at their average, they're a better team right now than the Phoenix Suns are showing. Campaign is hurt. They figured out, they being the Clippers, have kind of figured out what to do with DeAndre Ayton, who went off on them. And they really slowed him down in the last game. Pat Beverly seems to be annoying Chris Paul just enough. That mask, it seems to be annoying Devin Booker just enough, although he seems to have figured it out. I think game 6 is going to be scary because, game 5 was something that, they weren't going to repeat what they did in game 4. Game 6 has got to be about repeating what they did in game 5. That's tougher to do. Right? It's easier to rebound from a bad game than it is to repeat a good game. And they had a good game in game 5. I don't know that Marcus Morris is going to go off at the start. Chances are he won't, right? Now Reggie Jackson could, Terrence Mann could, who had a really good series against Utah and has been kind of not there offensively in this series. So they've got players, they've got pieces. DeMarcus Cousins has been a surprise. But the thing that scares me about tonight's game is that it's in LA. There's kind of an expectation that they win. The home team is supposed to win. So I really think there's a lot more pressure on the Clippers than there is on the Suns. Now, certainly the Suns don't want to lose because that puts a game, it's a game 7 and it's at home. Yes, but anything can happen in game 7. Mm-hmm. And if they get to game 7, Clippers would have won, right? 2 in a row. And they're all of a sudden the favorites, I think, going into that game. So Suns don't want to lose, but I think the pressure is greater on the Clippers because they're at home and they've got to repeat what they did in game 5, which was not a perfect game because when you look at their averages, they shot like they normally shot. They still didn't even shoot 40% from 3, which is what they did during the regular season. This is a good team, but they've got to match what they did in the last game to win game 6. And I don't know. If I look at this game, I think it's going to be another game like game 4. Not that it's going to be that muddy or that ugly, but I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be back and forth. And, it's just going to come down to a game of attrition. Like this season has been a season of attrition. Who gets the last shot? Who gets the lucky bounce? And so far this series, that's been the Suns. So we'll see if finally that goes LA's way. But interesting game. There's a lot of pressure on this on both teams. But I'm not as confident as, from a Clippers perspective for this game as I was for game 5. I thought game 5 they would win. I'm not so confident in this game.
So even with Leonard out, you still feel Clippers are a better team than Suns?
Oh, I think they've shown it. Yeah, I don't think anybody outside of Phoenix is going to argue that point. They've shot better. They've defended better. What's been most telling is how resilient they are, right? Every single time when the Suns make their push in the games that they won, the Clippers have pushed back. That tells you, what a good team this team is. The Clippers had longer, bigger leads, right? The games that the Suns have won have been squeakers, whereas the games that the Clippers have won have been, dominant victories. I think the Clippers have played overall better. I think what's interesting about the Suns, they were better without CP3, right? And I don't mean to put it all on him. I don't. But in games 1 and 2, Campaign just went off. He was phenomenal. The Clippers didn't know what to do with him. And then you bring in Chris Paul. Campaign, gets relegated to the bench. His minutes are cut. Then he hurts himself, admittedly. And he's been kind of non-existent the last couple of games. So, Yeah, I think if you take it as a whole, I think the Clippers have been better incredibly without Kawhi, now without Zubats, without Serge Ibaka. What they're doing is unbelievable. Are they going to win this series? Yeah, I'm not ready to say that. I don't know that they're going to win tonight. I'll be honest. But I think that they have proven to be so far the better team.
Interesting. All right, Nathan, any follow-ups? I think I'm ready, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely knows his stuff, and this is gonna be. I'm sure you kind of heard it earlier at the intro. I'm going into this completely fresh and completely blind, essentially. So I'll be relying on your expertise and in my picks, and we'll see if I can continue my streak of just dominant picking when I have no idea what's going on. So
yeah, so Jose, I'm not sure if you've been kind of following along over here. Nathan is a football kind of expert. He's borderline dumb outside of sports other than kind of football. So I kind of figured now that we're outside of the football season, I should be kicking his ass in terms of making picks. I'm getting smoked. So I'm not sure if you're kind of aware of how this process works here. We're going to pull up the statements for tonight's game on statementgames.com. I'm going to make some picks. Nathan will go ahead and make some picks. If you want, you can make some picks kind of as well. I know that you might be pressed for a little bit of time, but the way that we kind of work this is I kind of we'll start off by making a pick, but I throw Nathan and I throw these picks over to you just for your blessing or just for your general comments and things like that. And we don't lock anything in until we've had an opportunity to speak with what we call our ringers. So usually the process works is I would pick first, the guest would pick second, Nathan would pick third, and then we'd actually do almost like a reverse kind of snake. So you can actually play along, make a couple of picks, or you can just kind of leave it with us and let you offer you some feedback and advice. Let us know how you want to do it, but you should be aware that the advice that we give here, there could be some cash incentives to the people listening.
Right.
So basically, anybody can go 10 for 10 with their picks that's listening to the show. We'll know that they're listening to the show by if they drop a comment into the comment section of this video. Anyone who goes 10 for 10 with these picks, I'm going to give them $100. So not to put any pressure on you, but it's really important to get the feedback from our ringers, and I think you teed up this game perfectly.
Right on.
So,
all right.
You want to make some picks with us, or do you want to just help us out a little bit?
I think I'm going to lean on the help you out a little bit because I don't like, as you mentioned, I am kind of tethered to work right now, and I might get pulled away, and I don't want to have to do that with that added pressure. $100, that's a lot of money.
Let's just make 6 picks, 3 apiece. We'll alternate kind of back and forth. Of course, it's my show. I get to go first. That's the way that I always run things. But I got a lot of great information from Jose. So Jose, before I lock it in here, I'm going to throw this kind of over to you. You just kind of hit the nail on the head. Is what I was actually thinking. CP a little sluggish, a little kind of down. So I'm taking a look at Chris Paul, 8.5 assists. I'm leaning towards the under.
Here's where the thing about CP is a vet, right? CP knows that if one of his aspects of his game is down, he's going to excel in the other. And so he has not been shooting well necessarily. I don't think he certainly offensively, I wouldn't call it struggling. He is who he is. Under 8.5. Yeah, this is a tough one. Campaign being hurt, he's going to get a lot of minutes. I think it's going to be a squeaker. Now, and to be clear, 8 assists, that's under, yeah?
8 is under, correct.
Right.
He needs 9 to win.
Yeah.
8 is no good.
Yeah. And he was at 8 last game, which was a fairly high-scoring game for them. Yeah, I'm comfortable at under.
Nice.
All right, so Nathan, I've been warned. I'll take the Chris Paul 8.5 picks, but since we're only making 6 picks, we're going to leave the rest of them blank. We'll fill them in kind of offline and do something special. Why don't you put that in as my Put that in as our team number 7 pick,
Cool.
if that makes sense.
Got it. Yep. I got it there. Cool. So that means it's my turn, right? Since we're doing this 3-3. Let's see. You mentioned the 3-point percentage and how the Clippers, while in the regular season, were doing over 40 something percent. But it seems in these last few games hasn't really been there. What do you think about 37.5? And if you think they're going to regress from the last game and maybe land somewhere between game 4 and game 5, taking the Clippers 3-point percentage under 37.5.
37.5 is high right now. That's right about where their average has been in the playoffs. So you said under?
Yeah.
That's a safe pick.
Safe pick. Cool.
Yeah, they've been at 41%. Yeah, they've been 41% during the regular season, but it's always tougher to get your shots off in the playoffs. And so, the average has been close to about 37%. I can't tell you exactly, but it's been under 41% for sure. That's a safe pick.
Cool. Awesome. All right, Mark.
Look, I know it's going to be close and things like that. It might be tough, but I'm getting 1.5 at home. So it's game 6. Coming to the thing, I'm taking the Phoenix Suns will not win by over 1.5. What do you think, Jose?
Phoenix Suns will not win by over 1.5.
If the Clippers win or if they lose by less than 2 points, I win.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is going to be a close game. They will not win by over 1.5 points. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right, Nathan, lock that one in for me here.
All right. Do you want it to stay at 9?
Let's move it down a little bit. Move it down to our number 4 or 5 pick. I mean, it's a tough game, but
all right.
I don't want to screw our picks up. But hey, look, game 6 at home. You can't put up another performance like you did in game 4. A little bit of momentum. And look, I want to see a game 7. So I'm being selfish in that regard here, where I want the Clippers to win this one.
So, okay, here's my question. We're still talking Clippers slight regression, but we're going to add the twist of they still win. So I'm kind of considering this being a fairly defensive game. What was the total score for the Clippers in game 5? Do you know that offhand? Because what I'm looking at is this 107.5 points. I'm thinking of taking the under.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can tell you the average. The only time the Clippers have scored more than that, once was a win, once was a loss, when they scored 116 in the last game and 114 in the first game. One was a loss, one was a win. I don't think I think they'll regress from the last game. I think the first game is just a feel me out game. I think the real heart of what these teams are games 2, 3, 4. And in those games, the Clippers averaged 98 points. I think that's probably a sweet spot. I think you'll be hard pressed to get a lot over 100. So what was the line here?
107.5.
Oh yeah. I think under that is safe.
There we go. All right, Mark, bring it home.
Last one here. Just because, look, he's still kind of a very young player. I think the Suns have overachieved this year in terms of how far they've gotten so forth, in the playoffs. It's not to say that he's not going to come back and have a great performance in Game 7, but I think 27.5 points is high for Devin Booker. So I'm looking at Devin Booker under 27.5 points. I think it's a nice kind of pairing when considering. I like the whole defensive struggle, tight kind of game, nerves being escalated and things like that here. And just a young kid to expect him to drop 30, I think, is a little much in this specific setting. Could be wrong here, but I like the play of Devin Booker on the 27.5. What do you think, Jose?
Yeah, that's tough. Devin Booker's been getting a lot of Kobe vibes from fans. People, they think he shoots a lot like Kobe. Certainly, he's been a big fan of Kobe's. He loves playing in Staples. The only way the Suns win this game and advance is if he gets over 27 points. I just think that has to happen. Now, he had 31 in the last game. He played really well. He's finally getting acclimated to that mask he's having to wear. I haven't heard if he's wearing it again tonight. But because I think it's 50-50. I think it's really close, but I do think the Clippers will likely squeak this one out. But great game, the ball could bounce either way. I think Devin Booker has to be held under 27 for that to happen. So yeah, that's a tougher pick, but
what would you feel more comfortable with? Devin Booker under 27.5, or if I like the Clippers, Paul George over 30.5?
Yeah, I just don't think Paul PG is going to come back with another game like he had.
I agree, but I'm not going to pick against him. So, all right, I've been warned again. Nathan, just go ahead and lock in Booker under 27.5 for me.
All right, where do you want it? Do you want that higher or lower?
Right there is fine.
All righty, okay. So here we go. My last one. Now I need to. So we are looking at this one's tough for me because I feel like I kind of hit the easy ones, and I gotta think of something. 3-point. How are the Phoenix Suns on 3-pointers?
Good. They've been averaging about 33%, give or take.
All right. And about how many total 3-pointers? Because I'm kind of looking at this 14.5 3-point made. I'm assuming that's not points, but just like total buckets. And that seems kind of high to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about the under 14.5 3-pointers for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way they make over 14. They're not, prolific 3-point shooting team. Their percentage is good, but the Utah Jazz led in attempts and makes, but the Clippers had a better percentage. The Suns are a good average percentage 3-point shooting team, but they don't shoot a lot of them generally. So I'm just looking over the last few games. 9 makes in the last game. And unfortunately, I didn't track that, so I'd have to go and check each one. So yeah, I gut, without digging deeper into the numbers, I think 14 is really high. So I would be really comfortable with that.
All right, so there it is. That's my last pick, and so we're gonna make the last 4 off air. And so people who are playing, if you come across us, we are SG Live is our team name, and so if you end up in our contest, you'll know that you're playing against Mark and I. And
we feel not like our last 4 picks, Nathan, but I got like a $50 gift certificate to Dick's. So if there's somebody who is out there that is playing in our contest, I believe right now we're in contest 2 or 3. But anybody who beats us here, we'll give out some type of gift card to anybody who refers somebody into this game, drops a comment in the video section, and then beats us out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we'll do the rest of that offline, but one last time for you, Jose, if you want to just talk about where people can find you, what you've been doing, and if you've got anything great coming out soon.
Nathan, appreciate you asking. Absolutely. Our site right now is Peach-Basket. We're still relegated to the dash. You can find us at peach-basket.net. Because we are rebranding and a lot of background work has been going to getting our new site ready. We're not updating as often as we should, but there's still some real good content there specific to the Western Conference. You can also add us at Twitter, where we're pretty active at the Peach Basket _, because someone took the Peach Basket and isn't giving it back. But appreciate that very much. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Well, make sure everyone out there you're following Jose here and checking out the Peach Basket for all of your basketball content, and especially after the rebrand. I look forward to seeing how your new site looks. And make sure that you're following on social media at Statement Games, as well as subscribe to the YouTube channel, Statement Games Inc. And of course, be playing Statement Games on desktop, statementgames.com, as well as mobile device. It was a great episode. Great to be back. Probably going to kill it with a 3 for 3 with the help of Jose here. And yeah, no, I look forward to the next time. Mark, great having you. Jose, good talking to you and meeting you. So until next time, guys.
Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Jose. Thanks a lot, Nathan.